Now this is exciting. We have a major Flames roster update as a certain player is now destined to spend the year at the NHL level. For a third consecutive season, the Flames have had an unexpected player prove that they belong at the NHL level early in the season. This time with Yan Kuznetsov getting the job done. We're going to get into all that more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's talk about last night's game because for whatever reason, the Flames have become pretty much the best team in the NHL. They are riding a 3-game winning streak after smoking the Canucks in Vancouver 5-2. This was a scheduled loss for the Flames. You know, they played on Saturday, quickly had to hop on a flight, play in Vancouver, a team that was rested, and they honestly kind of destroyed them. And I don't know what's going on with the Flames. Maybe it's the Don Maloney comments, you know, and everything that happened last week, that whole drama of, you know, essentially Maloney saying they want to be in the mushy middle to make money. Well, these wins are certainly helping. If we get into the box score here, Dustin Wolf, great game from him. 2 goals against on 30 shots. The .933 save percentage, that is what we expect. Those are Devin Cooley-like numbers, but Wolfie obviously getting the job done. It seems like he often plays well in Vancouver. In terms of the skaters who got on the score sheet, Blake Coleman, Pickles, he got a goal and an assist. Kevin Ball with another goal. Sharky got a goal. Zary got a goal. Frosty got a goal. So a lot of guys who have been struggling offensively this season. Most notably out of that group, I'd say Sharangovich and Zary getting goals. Rasmus Andersson, 3 assists on the night. He was actually just named the NHL's first star of the week. He's playing for a contract. He knows that. You know, rumors are that him and the Flames are still quite far apart. He's playing for a contract, but hey, who knows for the Flames? That could mean his trade value is increasing. But what a week he has had and what a game he had last night in Vancouver. Backlund and Kadri both getting a couple of assists and Coronato staying hot as well, picking up 1 apple again. So many players played really well last night over this 3-game winning streak. A lot of guys have looked really good. Does this mean the Flames are kind of destined to, you know, go right back into the mushy middle? I know the season's quite young, but Mike Gold here, he's a Flames writer. He wrote this: Flames fans on Team Tank need not fret. They've won 3 straight and are still 31st. So despite a 3-game winning streak, they're still 31st, only ahead of Nashville. Coming up, they play in Tampa, in Florida, and in Carolina. After that, they play the 32nd place Preds, who are 3 points back of them with 3 games in hand. The tank is very much still on. And that's one perspective for sure. A lot of people are saying, wow, this team might actually be good enough to make the playoffs, but I know for the most part, the vast majority of the fan base, that is not what they want. And they do have a tougher road trip coming up. Doesn't mean that those 3 are guaranteed losses. No, it doesn't at all. But definitely going to get a little bit tougher before facing the Preds in what is kind of the tank bowl a little bit. Another thing to take note of is that on December 11th and December 12th of 2023, so almost 2 whole years ago, the Flames lost to Colorado 6-5 and to Vegas 5-4 in overtime. Since then, they have won 41 straight games when scoring 4 or more goals. And it's kind of sad that they've only scored 4 or more goals in 41 games in the past 2 years, which is roughly, you know, a quarter of the games, I guess we can say, especially with how good the Flames were at scoring before this kind of era. But the Huberdeau era, we can call it. But it is still, you know, quite relevant that when the Flames score even just 3 or more goals, they are such a winning team. The defense can do it. It's just a matter of if the offense can do it. You can't win every single game, you know, 1-0 or 2-1 or anything like that. But that was something interesting to take note of. One last little thing to take note of that's interesting as well before we get into the Kuznetsov stuff is this. So the top 6 AHL scorers at the moment are listed right here. 3 of them being Wranglers, actually. But the 2006-born Matvei Gridin is younger than anyone else in the top 6 by 2 years. So Gridin actually sits 3rd right now with 20 points in 17 games, over a point per game. And he is arguably our most exciting prospect at this point, just with obviously Perek being injured and not too fantastic at the NHL level so far. But Gridin looks great, and he's still so young that we have to keep in mind. He is a young gun and will hopefully be a star for the Flames. Obviously, Ferk, top of the league right there, and Rory Cairns as well. If he hadn't come up to the Flames, who knows where he could be on that list as well over a point per game as well. But Gridin, I know we don't talk about him all the time, but maybe we should be because he is that exciting. Now, the other exciting thing is we got to talk about Yan the man. And this is kind of unexpected. So as we've seen over the past couple years, we saw 2 years ago, it was Connor Zary and not Sharangovich, it was Pospisil, who came out of nowhere, kind of from the Wranglers, got their time with the Flames, and stuck ever since. Last year, that obviously happened with Coronato after he got demoted for whatever reason at the start of the year. Came up, hasn't looked back since, and now it looks like Yan Kuznetsov is going to be that guy. So Wes Gilbertson from the Calgary Herald, he writes how Yan Kuznetsov prepared for his shot with the Flames and why he's now in the NHL to stay. That's the part that matters here, in the NHL to stay. So Yan Kuznetsov has now played 10 games on this call-up, meaning the 23-year-old defenseman would require waivers to be reassigned to the minors. It ain't happening. No, the Flames are not going to risk losing Yan at this point, especially with how much better they've been in the past 10 games with him in the lineup. Is he the key to the anti-tank? Is he some sort of imposter implemented by Maloney and Edwards to make the Flames good enough that people will buy tickets? I don't know. Who saw that coming? But either way, let's get him. So when Kuznetsov hit the ice for Sunday's 5-2 victory in Vancouver, it marked his 10th game since he was called up for the minors in early November. That means this Russian rearguard would require waivers to be reassigned, and the Flames would be foolish to risk it. Besides, the 23-year-old has quickly established himself as an every-nighter in an important role, proving to be the best option as a left shot sidekick for workhorse righty MacKenzie Weegar. And Weegar hasn't had great stats so far this year, so to have someone like Kuznetsov that maybe he can depend on a little bit more is definitely a good thing. He has, I think, fermented very well as a defenseman in the American League, said Flames assistant coach Trent Cull, who scored a promotion of his own after 2 seasons as bench boss for the Wranglers. And I think now you're seeing a pretty good finished product, which is great. The development has been complete. I mean, obviously a ways to go, but complete in the way that he's at the NHL now. You might feel like you're seeing a bit of a repeat. This has become a nice November trend around the Saddle Dome, a youngster making the most of a call-up opportunity and never returning to the lower level, i.e. what I said before, Zary, Pospisil, Coronato. This one isn't necessarily a surprise. Listed at 6'5" and 220 pounds, there has long been excitement within the organization about Kuznetsov's blend of size and skating ability, but it can be tough to project when a stay-at-home defenseman is ready to go work against some of the best in the biz. The stats won't always show when the shutdown sorts have outgrown the AHL. He's been really good, Huska said of Kuznetsov, who logged his NHL debut in January of 2024 and then had to wait 600 and some days for a second opportunity to skate on the biggest stage. He's been consistent with his game. There's one night in St. Louis where I thought he had an off night, like a really off night for a younger player, but it really hasn't happened again. Awesome. He has impressed with both poise and professionalism. One thing with Kuzi is he's a really intelligent young man and he works at his craft and he always has, Cull said. We don't have long conversation because I know that he's watched everything, he's seen everything, he's reviewed it all, so we can have a quick little conversation and I know that he knows exactly what's going on. He definitely takes care of his body, Weegar added. He's a big boy, he's absolutely ripped, and he's pretty confident, which I think is a good sign when a kid comes up from the minors and has confidence. I think he knows that he's capable of playing in this league and he wants to be here. So do a little checklist. That's Cull talking highly of Kuznetsov. We have Weegs, and of course, Huska. You need to hear it from the head coach. That is all fantastic. He's staying in the NHL now, and that honestly is pretty exciting. Sunday's suit-up in Vancouver made it official. The Wranglers can chuckle when they reminisce about Kuznetsov's road routine, which was spoken about in this article. If you want to go read it, essentially no one wanted to be his roommate because he was kind of annoying, always doing stick handling and stuff, but either way. Although there's a lesson here on how one of the hopefuls can find just that sliver of separation. Always work at it. Usually when we have a travel day, we don't skate, so I take the stick to the hotel just to get my touches, Kuznetsov explained. If it can give me an extra 1%, a little bit of edge, like obviously I'm not known for my stick handling, but if I can improve that even a little bit, that's going to help my game. I will do it. He honestly seems like such a great professional, and now technically he is a professional, sticking, of course, at the NHL level. So I think we're all pretty hyped for Yan, finally getting that development check and being at the NHL level and being here to stay. Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from yesterday's video, of course, and this one just goes really well with how the Flames are playing right now. And it comes from one of these years. They say, having just watched the Flames' 3rd win in a row, it sure feels like we're heading back towards Maloney's mushy middle. And that is just so true. That wasn't the only comment that was, similar to that after the game last night. It really, feels like the Flames might be destined to where they're always destined to be. And that is kind of torture in terms of being a Flames fan, so hopefully something changes. But of course, it's always fun to watch your team win no matter what. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.